Hello, friends. It's Sarah Palmer again with Linda Yao.
From Northeast Regional.
Yeah, I'm from Kensington Branch, and we're glad to be with you again. Our focus today is on something that swallows a lot of my time recently, which is webcomics, and specifically on the aggregators of webcomics, the publishers of webcomics. Aggregator may be slightly, an aggregator would tend to be something that collects stuff published by different sources. So in a sense, these aren't so much aggregators as they are publishers of webcomics that we're going to be looking at.
Is it is it kind of like an RSS grabbing feed?
No,
it's like a feed driven thing.
That's more what an aggregator would be. Although sometimes they are more curated. But in the sense that some of these webcomics publishers have taken the works published by other corporations and made them available. In that sense, they could be considered aggregators. But really, we're going to focus today on what they've published themselves. So the big, I really need a second screen. This is getting out of hand. Okay, so, and where are we now?
Or otherwise, you can do what I'm doing right now, which is a tablet and my desktop computer right in front of my face.
That's a thought, yeah.
But I can't share anything right now. Yeah. I can't share screens.
Yeah, that's a problem. So, so some of the big names that we're going to talk about today are Lejin, Tapas, Happytoon, Comics, and Webtoons, and also webcomics. I'm going to start with the ones I really encountered first, which are Lejin and Tapas. And let me pull up one of these guys. Okay.
So let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Is aggregators like the apps that you normally see with like different publishers with like Shonen Jump? Shonen Jump has an app themselves. I'm not sure of any other publisher that does it. So
no,
is it like an aggregator like that?
No, an aggregator wouldn't be an app precisely. I mean, it could be an app, but what makes it an aggregator is pulling together things from different sources. And I just really realized that we were kind of using the term wrong at this moment. So sorry about that. What I meant to say was publishers, publishers of webcomics specifically.
So you basically have to have a continual, I think that there would be apps for different webcomics, but I also realized you have to have a continual internet connection.
Yes, for what we're talking about. These are streaming content only.
Or otherwise, can you actually download to have it for offline access?
Not in my experience, at least not for the series that I've been following.
Okay.
Yeah. Unlike, say, e-manga, which you can download things. Once you purchase them, you can download them in PDFs and other formats. And probably some of our other regular manga publishers. In this case, you have to go to either the app on your mobile device or to the website on your regular device, on your computer. And so there's several things I really like about Lejin. They have they focus on professional content only. So you know that it's going to be pretty well edited and presented. Both the app and the computer interface are fully functional, so that you can see all content in either way. I also love, I mean, as a BL fanatic, and I'm a GL fanatic. I'm really happy that they have wonderful titles in both of those areas. But they also have some fun titles like Percy and the Yummies, which is a comedy featuring a dog. This young man's grandmother, who he lived with, has just died, and basically he's a complete recluse without her connecting him to life in general, although his neighbors tried to pull him out of his shell. But then this dog, which was his grandmother's pet, shows up, and it turns out that the dog can speak human languages and can walk around on his feet and pay for, go shopping and things like that.
So it's like Snoopy then.
He's sort of like Snoopy, only not as arrogant as Snoopy.
Is this also like a Sunday Comics, a comics daily strip?
No, it is a limited series. It doesn't keep coming out.
Oh, okay. So there's already like a defined, so it's pretty much, if the creators are trying to be a webtoon comics, right?
Yes.
They have to be very upfront with how many chapters are they going to produce.
I'm not sure that's always the case. Tapas, but one of the things I'm going to go into with Tapas is that you cannot always predict if a series will continue. But in the case of Legion, I think they do have the authors and the creators and the Legion do work out sort of what the whole framework is going to be like. It's much more like traditional publishing in that area, I think. So, and you see, this is not a 4-panel series, so it is somewhat dramatic in that sense, but the art style, as you see, is quite simple. And it's so much fun.
So it's basically focused on the story and not on the action, because I have seen comics where you literally, if you click on the screen, they literally pop and go like all over the screen to direct your flow of attention.
Yes, that's more like, that's when I think it's in a container that you go to. Yeah, no, this is just straight scrolling.
Straight scrolling down on a vertical aspect. So that's mobile friendly, right?
Yes, which I love. So definitely a strong recommendation for Percy and the Yummies. I just wish it went on and on forever.
I don't know, but the thing is, I'm always thinking about the data. How much data is reading web comics, and how reliable is your internet?
Well, both of those things are key, and I have not paid attention to them. So that might be something we could update people on later.
Okay, sure. Because I remember if you're in another country, that's no problem. But I remember how it is very spotty in the United States.
Yes. Another, let's see, I had another title or two that I wanted to mention on Legion. One thing about Legion is that it does tend to have a lot of native presentation, so that it's not localized with American or English sounding names and whatnot. Here's a case where there's this popular movie actor who runs afoul of this young woman who's basically his next door neighbor, but what they don't realize is that they have a history together from the distant past, and it's funny, it's dramatic, it has some pathos. I do recommend this, which is The Greatest Wolf of My Life. And I wonder if
it's not named as False Memories?
No, False Memories is a different one.
Oh, whoops. I'm looking at the I'm looking at the correct screen?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, so yes, let me go back to, False Memories. This is False Memories. It's also a decent a decent story, but it is very different. There's False
Okay.
Memories and Greatest Wolf of My Life. Where did you go? There you are. Oh, it's right next door. That's fine. So,
Did your screen froze?
I don't know. Are you not seeing anything now?
I'm just seeing false memories. If you're clicking, then I don't know. But maybe okay, never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
I will probably see it when I see it.
Okay, that's very strange. So, one interesting thing is that sometimes different webcomics publishers will publish the same title under a different name, even sometimes, and with a different translation. So Leijin has taken Fools, which is a very BL titles I very much loved from the Tapas platform, and they're presenting it in native format. It's also, the art is redone and things like that. Which is, I mean, I really love the other one, so the art style has shifted slightly as the artists have matured, I guess, but I miss some of the older illustrations. But so in that case, they kept the name Fools for the manhwa rather, but they did not, but everything else has been changed to some degree.
I actually noticed a title I'm very familiar with on
Yes.
the Leijin cover. It's My Roommate is a Cat. There's an anime on
Yes.
this on Crunchyroll.
Yes,
I
I was so astonished because Leijin has a lot of content, but it's very strong on Korean content and does not have as much Japanese origin content.
I think what's happening is that a lot of places they're not just pulling from manga anymore. They're pulling from other sources, just like webcomics or like video games.
Yes.
Or light novels.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah, this is False Memories was being advertised on the front here. That was probably part of what, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Yes, My Roommate is a Cat. I love the anime, and I'm looking forward to reading it too. Even though there is some painful things for the heart in that story, but it is good. Okay.
How do you do this? How do you do this? How do you get onto being a premium member?
You do it. I mean, so there's one other thing about things like webcomics, webcomics publishers like Leijin and Tapas is that there is some free content. I have wound up subscribing to Leijin and Tapas and Tappy Toon, so I can get comic content earlier. But I don't know. I mean, in some cases, it will say they will publish an ad for something and say wait until free, and so like in a year you get to see the whole thing. But I want to read it now, so I have paid. But,
there's a review that says comics are great and prices are no. So is this very similar to a coin-based system?
Leijin does use a coin-based system, yes. There's
so it's a freemium. It's a freemium thing.
Yeah. And okay, there was other stuff I wanted to say about Leijin, so let me track this down. Hello, little thing.
I will actually be jumping in on different comments, so I might end up throwing you off, Sarah.
Yeah. Oh no, that's fine. So interesting about Leijin is that it did start in Korea in 2013, but it launched its English and Japanese language sites in 2015. It has now joined in partnership with Anime Planet, which is a portal, a US portal.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh, it's a reading and recommendation website. I liked reading it a while ago.
Yeah, so
I still have. It's kind of like it's not my anime list. It's kind of like it. I don't know.
Some similarities,
some similarity, but it was a recommendation site.
Yeah.
If you like this, check out all these 5 other titles.
And
Or 3 other titles.
I really have no connection with Anime Planet. It's something where you can develop your own account, build your list, and recommend things to other people as well.
Yes, and that was what I did when I was in high school or college. Can't remember.
Very cool. Okay, so now I talked about Percy and the Yummies. Let's see what else did I want to mention. Yeah, many great BL and GL series. Tapas is one of the other key sites I follow all the time, and it has some stuff in native format and some stuff not in native format. There's one of the things I love about Tapas is that there's more of a connection with authors and creators. So you'll see the latest installment, you'll read it, and then at the bottom, the author will share a comment, sometimes a very funny comment. And then there's everybody else's comments, sometimes reacting to the author's comment, sometimes reacting to the chapter content. And it's a lot of fun, and it can also provide some insights into what's going on. If you're having trouble figuring out what's happening, like maybe you didn't remember a pre-shadowing of something, somebody will bring it up in the comments. Foreshadowing, I mean. Its sourcing is much more diverse than Leijin's. Of course, there's a lot of Korean manhwa because it was launched in 2012. Headquarters are in South Korea and in California, but it now has 54,000 plus global creators, and those include both professional creators and amateur creators. And in their publicity papers, it said 63% of our top 30 comics are made by female creators, rare in the industry, and they partner with Hachette actually.
Hachette.
Yep. So
That's what a lot of all the publishers are right now. They're trying to do, because in turn they'll probably find, if the content is sellable or developed enough, they will actually license it specifically to sell on their own platform.
Right.
So that's and this is cultivating new talent.
It really is.
It reminds me of what Tokyo Pop did a while ago.
And there's ways to support authors, including authors that are just starting out, amateurs who are presenting content for free.
Or like Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Tapas has something they call Ink, which you can buy to support creators. And one of the unfortunate thing about amateur comics is that just like with fan fiction, people will give up unexpectedly. They lose their impetus. There other things in their life take over, and because they're not getting paid for this, or not paid much anyway, they let go of the series. You will also see a huge difference in terms of how long a chapter would be when it's a premium title, which you would pay for until it becomes free eventually. You would tend to get a lot more pages, and then there's titles like this one, which I actually like. Let me go over to that. Is that you? No, that's not you.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So this actually does follow in the line of what I was thinking about Patreon support, which reminds me, Patreon is another topic altogether, right?
Yeah, maybe we can talk about ways we can support our artists different ways. So I really like this series. It's basically American based, I'd say, but it's read right to left, manga style, and each each release is about a chapter, not a chapter, it's about one page. But you can tell that there's a lot of attention given to the different panels and the characters' expressions, and it's, I mean,
Is
so
the
there's
title Are You Screwed?
the title is "Are You Screwed?" And screwed as in probably in the sense of like, are you in a bad situation? But
Oh,
RU
gosh.
stands for Raisley University, so it's a pun there. And we've got Howie and Such, Howie with the dark hair, Such with the lighter hair, and Howie realizes he's gay and has an unrequited love for his best friend Howie, until inevitably it comes to light, and so they're gradually exploring at this point, living together and developing a relationship. But Such here is having academic troubles because of dyslexia and maybe ADHD. So it's not just about the romance, it's about them evolving as people and finding themselves as you would expect in college.
The art style is actually pretty interesting, and the lines are way more definitive.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think you could see the fact that there's maybe some manga influences with the big eyes, but not really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, each panel is pretty saturated in terms of fill of color and whatnot.
That's a difference. That's a difference. Is webcomics normally colored, or is it black and white?
I'd say webcomics are more often colored. So yeah, Are You Screwed is kind of an exception in that regard.
So that means that a lot of the artists use like computer, like maybe something like, because I remember going to Artist Alleys and seeing a lot of artists there.
Yeah.
They're probably webcomics on their own.
Yeah.
So they're always drawing with like a tablet or like a computer with the stylized pen.
Yeah. And I suspect that the vast majority are created electronically, digitally. So here's Fools again, but this is the original version of Fools with maybe a slightly rougher art style, but I thought the art style was plenty good already, but the artist apparently wanted to redo it, so that's what is happening on Leijin right now. And it's very cute. So in this original localized version, they talk about Ed Sheeran, so I'm really curious in the other version about what artists they'll be mentioning, or if they used Ed Sheeran in the original or not. So here's another example of a title released across 2 platforms. It's called After School Special here at Tapas, and is localized, but the version that is at webcomics is called Meet Me After School. So, I mean, even the title itself has changed, which is a little startling. At first, I didn't realize they were the same title, but they are. So, let's see, we're getting out of those 2. Let me stop share for a sec. And so, I'm going to move on to talking about Tappytoon, which is either almost all or all Korean content, and either
there's a lot of shoujo content also. Yeah,
mostly are all professional. So in the case of Leijin and Tapas, you basically get everything if you access it either from the computer or from the app. But Tappytoon does not feature its mature content on the app, so you have to access that through the website. Either it sounds like you can on your phone log into Tappytoon through your browser and get it, but you can't do it through the app designed for mobile purposes.
Is it also safe to say is that with mature like what you can access in the app versus a website, which one do you think is better as a preferable way?
Well, I'd say it really depends on your preference.
Mm-hmm.
I like being able to read things on the computer, partly because the print is pretty small when it's on my phone. And some of the apps are better than others in terms of letting you use your fingers to expand or contract the size of the images and words. So I didn't really cross-check for each of those before talking about this today, but that's one thing I want to make note of eventually, is which ones are better in terms of that.
I think next week we're going to be talking about scanlations, and this to me reminds me of scanlation reading, which I am not as fond of.
Yeah, well, you mean the scrolling down or
reading on the computer?
Yeah.
So, versus reading on a tablet.
Yeah, I'm not much of a tablet fan, so yeah. And I also came to a lot of manga through, I must confess, through scanlation. So this is the way I'm used to seeing things, is in the long stream of what's the word, scrolling.
I like it. I like reading it like a page by page. Well, never mind.
Yes.
I have to go with. I also read some scanlations before, but the aspect of moving through it just not the best. Very clunky.
This is really a question of your mileage may vary, but you didn't hear it from me, but there is at least one scanlation hosting site where you can choose between how you want to read it, whether you want to read it sequentially or you want to read it scrolling. You'll have to find that for yourselves, because we do not promote it.
We'll just mention it.
We'll just mention it. It begins with an M, and anyway, there's an X in there somewhere. So.
Gosh.
So yes, let me share the Tappy Toon screen here. Am I when I need it? Zoom. Okay. There's my share screen. Thank you. So here is Tappy Toon. You see it now?
Yes, I see it right now.
So this is easily navigable by genre, as you see: romance, BL, action, comedy, etc. And but you also have this handy link to your library. So everything is nicely placed there. And you see one of the options is time till free. So I guess that some series have time till free chapters and some don't. And I guess the ones I'm currently subscribed to are not those titles. So one of the ones I wanted to mention here is The King of Home Cooking, which is kind of interesting, as a lot of webcomics focus on the fact that, I mean, both BL ones and non-BL ones focus on the fact that there's a huge BL fandom out there. And so the main character of this series wants to get the main prize on the TV show, The King of Home Cooking, to help him support the cat in his life, because he's a poor college student and doesn't have enough funds to really keep his kitty well. So he joins this program, but he learns from friends that one of the ways to really get audience points on this show is to have a real or feigned relationship with another member, particularly a BL type relationship. So he approaches this other contestant and proposes this to him. And this other contestant had been friendly with him, but as soon as he proposes it, that guy's immediately turned off. But at the same time, he agrees for reasons unknown to us. And so it proceeds through the show as they get to know each other a bit more, and meanwhile everybody's the contestants are being whittled down, and so eventually they'll be especially going head to head.
This kind of reminds me of Yakitate Japan.
Yeah, the competitive aspect for sure.
Yes, the competitive aspect and the show aspect, showmanship aspect of it.
Yeah.
That was sad when Yakitate Japan ended.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a romance, and I mean, the food is important, but it's not Yakitate. You've really got the focus on the bread, for sure. Then there's so that is an art style that is slightly more realistic and definitely more saturated with color. This is another romantic comedy BL, and you see that it's mostly black and white with some touches of color. And I mean, both have a lot of comic elements, but this tends to be more comic, even in every single image has some funniness to it. So, and the characters are really quirky, and I like them a lot. So, and Happy Tune, I think I mentioned one of these titles before. Let me get back to my selections. I think I mentioned Stigma before as a really beautifully done BL series that is also all black and white, interestingly. So let's see, anything else I wanted to say about Happy Tune? Let us stop sharing the screen.
It seems like an interesting service also, but I noticed that it also uses Coinbase system.
Yes, so that's another thing that I wish I had more carefully researched, the extent to which there's free content available on these sites. I think there is at least some on each of them, but in a lot of cases, the first few episodes will be free, and then to read a little more, you have to pay, at least for the time being.
Because one of my fears also with reading web comics is that once a season ends, or once like this particular point ends, right?
Yeah.
It gets the web content disappears. That's what I worry about.
I haven't seen that as much as such a big problem so far. Pretty much everything has stayed pretty steady.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been reading them for maybe 2 or 3 years now. So it's quite possible that there's some things that I don't know about having disappeared. But as far as I've seen, it hasn't been an issue, at least for these 3. Okay, so let me. Why do I always do this?
Two Mix is the next one, I guess. Two Mix,
I think you're right. Two Mix. Two Mix doesn't have quite as much content. It is. Where's my thing? There's my.
I don't understand. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so it's just about all South Korean, but localized. It was founded in 2016. There's a few series that I follow on it that I've really liked. This one is now complete. It's called The Sound of Your Voice, about a young translator and previously an author who comes into contact with this actor who, unbeknownst to him, was the radio personality who he talked to when he was at his lowest ebb. And so they gradually fall in love with each other as they roam together. And it's got some angst, some humor. As you see, the color palette here is also not very intense.
Okay, I can't see anything on my browser, my desktop. So
You know what?
please share.
I
Please
will
share this
try
thing.
and share this. Sorry, it looked like I'm all over the place today.
No. I'm trying to also figure out if a lot of this, because it's Korean, if it's Korean based,
Yeah.
do a lot of these web comics become dramas?
I really don't know. I doubt. Well, maybe some of the BL ones, though I doubt a lot of them. But some of the, like this, as I was describing the story of the wolf story, the one about the actor and the young woman, it occurred to me that what a lot I've heard about Korean dramas is that there's all sorts of plot twists and mystery and secrets coming to light, and so it it does feel like the stories are very similar in that regard. And I think Korean dramas are also sometimes known for their humor. So I think I would not be surprised if there's been a lot of transition from manhwa to the silver screen or to the small screen. But so far, I don't know about the specific titles. Though that reminds me, did I forget about one of these things? Excuse me, pardon me, I'm just going over to our database for a second. Not our database, our spreadsheet. So, partnering with Crunchyroll. Who was it that's partnering with Crunchyroll? One of them.
What? They partnered with Crunchyroll? Seriously?
Yeah, there's one of these sites, I know I put it in here, is partnering with Crunchyroll to potentially create more content, more animated content.
You do realize that, Crunchyroll manga app sucks.
Yes. So maybe that is true, but it's not really a web, that's more of a purveyor of manga. It's not a webcomics site per se, but
Webtoons.
The point of this Crunchyroll collaboration is not to share manga or manhwa, but to share, to convert content into whatchamacallit. Okay, let me see.
Webtoon is the one that says it's collaborating with Crunchyroll.
Yeah, that's it. So they're going to convert Webtoon content potentially into anime. Or animated series.
Okay.
Which would be great, especially since I don't think there's nearly enough animated Korean stories. Okay, I'm here, there, and everywhere. There's Tappy Saloon. Okay. So yeah, that was wrapping up Kumix.
Because we just jumped right into Webtoons.
Yeah, so it's time to talk about Webtoons, and I have that's webcomics. I had Webtoons up, but where did it go? Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay, let me share this. So I stop that share and I start this share because I can. Okay. So this is a story I first encountered in scanlated form, but I am subscribing to it because I want to support the author, because this is super excellent. One thing I don't like about Webtoon is that it, as somebody who prefers reading on the computer, they only have a limited amount of the content available for reading on the computer. The majority you read in the app.
You do read on the app.
Yeah. Super Secret is a wonderful story about sort of this young college girl who can't really do much of anything for herself, so her next door neighbor and friend takes care of her all the time, but she has not realized in all her years growing up next to him is that he's part of a supernaturally diverse family. he's basically a werewolf, but turns into this giant size of wolf. And his one sister is a vampire, another sister is a multi-tailed fox. Oh no, I'm sorry, one sister is a witch. Here's the multi-tailed fox. And not only is that family have supernatural secrets, but other people she encounters, including another boy who falls in love with her, have some of these powers. And it's the art style is really charming, I think. But it also has great characters, and strongly recommended.
Okay.
So
the thing is that I actually used to read webtoons like when it first started, because it first came out in 2014. And I remember because it was broadcast because it's affiliated with Line. Line is a very popular MSN service that I use, I still use it because all of my friends are on it. So I talk with them via Line, and Line at that point had pretty much taken over. Like do you see my app situation? I have Line, and it's very prominent in my chat functions. So the thing is that reading webtoons is actually, it's a mobile friendly, it's vertical panel. That was the first time I've seen it, like vertical panel reading. And you kind of see the same thing in Monthly Girl Nozaki-kun. If you ever read the print manga, which Free Library has, by the way.
Yes.
It goes down in a 4-panel style, which I like. I prefer that. I mean, I like that, but a lot of it is also it's only, some of the content is available on their website, but you have to scan in and read it with an app on your phone. That is what I remember doing. And then another thing I definitely do remember is the fact that Sarah might have talked about Super Secret, right? I'm going to be talking about another story that I actually read back when I was still reading webcomics, and Webtoons was the only webcomic aggregator that I read from. It's called Always Human. And
are you going to share that? Shall I unshare?
You could well, I don't have any sharing capabilities, so if you want to find it, I have the link.
Okay, let's see.
I have the links, the live links on our database of database of stuff.
Okay, yeah, give me a sec. I'm gonna stop share, go to that, and then reshare.
Okay, thank you. So Always Human was serialized in Webtoons was serialized for a while, but then it recently got a very unique perspective. It actually got picked up by an English publisher, and it actually became published in this past June. So Always Human was on Webtoons.
Yeah, it published in print.
It is published in print. So Always Human first serialized on Webtoon, right? But it ran from 2015 to 2017.
Yeah.
So it had over 76,000 subscribers who were readers, right?
Right.
And then it's also an LGBT friendly title.
Yeah.
It's a Yuri title, so it's a GL title.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember, and that's where I'm always wondering to myself, if the story becomes copyrighted by another publisher, right?
Yeah.
Will the original content go away?
That's a great question. I see that so far, both the old version of Fools and the new version of Fools are present. I don't know if that will last forever, though. Okay.
And one thing I remember is that Webtoons, a majority of them is always free. There's no form of payment, I think. Or Sarah, can you Can you confirm? I
I
haven't
believe
read-
you may be right about that.
I haven't read Webtoon in a while that I completely they added so much content to their website, an app that I don't really know. But I also figure it's going to be like a contest scenario.
Yeah.
When you go on and yours get a contest art situation is like when I think about contests, right? The readership, right? It goes back to my understanding of Japanese magazines, right?
Yeah.
Like Shonen Jump in Japanese, they would often held monthly contests, monthly rankings. If you ever hear about monthly rankings,
Yeah.
it also depends. So that's what I'm always thinking web comics would be like, because the more popular it is, the more long it'll run.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm always wondering about that. So when I thought about Webtoons, webcomics first, I always thought about that. And is that a way of trying to introduce the whole Japanese model into other countries, like product of pushing it across their content or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Or did I garble it?
I am going to step away for a moment.
Okay.
Carry on.
Carry on with what? Oh my.
Whatever you like. More about Webtoon.
Whatever I liked. Oh gosh. So I'm actually interested in a couple of other series in this ever since I started thinking about it today. So a lot of content is published in Webtoons. It's a Monday to Sunday schedule. And so you get to see a lot of new content nearly every single day. So it's kind of like, for me, it's a matter of serializing chapters. And that is one of the things in which I always think about when I try to buy series. So a lot of Webtoons, like a lot of webcomics, is maybe you don't have to buy it. Maybe you could buy it, but it will be for a very long, you never see the completion of it until a long time later. And so I don't particularly enjoy that kind of model. But definitely I know that the author can determine the frequency of publication. So they can either choose to publish it twice a week or up to maybe once a week, or even ambitiously, maybe 7 days a week. Who knows? Depends on their comic. But, here's Sarah, back again. I went on a gibberish kind of like a waxing kind of a thing about my thoughts about Webtoons and webcomics in general.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
No, it's okay. You could always have a playback.
Yeah, let me just, so I'm scanning through Only Human, and it's definitely appealing, so I will try and explore that. But notice that it's originally got a Tumblr.
Yeah, it's a Tumblr aspect.
Yeah. Let's see, so I'm going to unshare now.
I'm sure Tumblr is I always thought that Tumblr was the next step of where social media went in that direction after blogs.
Yeah.
And then I think they kind of went out of favor once they started getting censored, which I thought was pretty bad.
Yeah, to some degree, but I think there's still a lot of life left in Tumblr.
There is.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The thing about working at home, well, it's true actually of working from work, is that interruptions can happen unexpectedly.
I'm lucky that the fact that I have 2 other departments to pick up the phone. Otherwise, I would have been picking up. I don't know if you noticed my background noise. I have a lot of telephone ringing situations.
I'm actually not hearing it coming through so badly.
Oh, okay. So I'm actually, my headphones is actually maybe helping out.
Yeah.
Is my voice actually distinctive though? That's the thing, because I'm wearing a mask, as you can see.
I can hear what you're saying anyway.
Oh, okay.
There is one last site, or I could say it's a pair of sites, which is webcomics. And webcomics is largely, maybe all or almost all, no, it's not all, but almost all of it is sourced from China. I believe mainland China. I don't know that there's any Taiwanese content at all. But, let me share the screen again. Zoom, 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 zoom. There you are. So yeah, here's that other version of what was it called? After school, whatever. So this is yeah, this is the other version. So I really like the fact that that there's this whole area of content that I might not otherwise see because I access it through webcomics. What troubles me is that the translations are not as high quality, so it doesn't feel like they had a secondary native English speaking reader. And you'll see that, I mean, as I say, most is manhwa from China, but we've got only the Flower Nose by Rihito Takarai here. But I started to read it here, and then the translation was just too unbearable, since I had at some point read it before in a much better translation. So yeah, I hope that they can get their act together on the translation front a little bit more.
Is it like the translation? Is it like an English kind of a translation, or where there's the grammar goes out the window?
To some degree.
Because other languages will probably don't have the past and present tenses, and so it always has English kind of quality.
Yeah, some of that.
That I might have no problems with listening to.
Yeah.
Or reading through.
Yeah. No, I mean, enough of the story gets through that I really like it. But yeah, in a case where I had already read it in a better translation, I didn't want to carry on with that. Okay, so yes, there was that one, but the story I really wanted to mention here on webcomics is, where do you go? There you are. Lily, which is an ongoing series that started with the two characters in high school, with one of them gradually developing a crush on the other, the very sporty character here. And then gradually she confesses her love, and by the time they're in college, they're in a long-term relationship, but it's still evolving, and you also see what's happening with the folks in their circles. So I'm pretty impressed with the story, and I'm enjoying continuing to read it. There's so yeah, it's got comic aspects as well as other. There's what I've noticed that among some Chinese manhwa is that they can be a little over the top in terms of angst and tragedy, but that's not true across the board. It's just some of them.
Yes, because let me ask this question. Is there a specific time period that they're talking about? Is it the whole aspect of four square, like love triangles? Not even love triangles. It's like a four triangle square all the way around, or is it like
polygon? No, in this case it was just a triangle. And there was a fatal illness and and abuse and blah blah blah.
That's a bad. Well,
yeah. But,
yeah. I do have to stress is that going back to webtoons, because I like that's the only aggregator I know about, is the fact that when you download the app, it's like they allow you to actually download the content for all the comics for offline access. Yeah, they do.
I did not know that. So another
like
thing to like webtoons for. Yeah,
I like that a lot, because I like reading everything all at once, and I like reading it if I'm offline.
Yes.
Because my Wi-Fi connection is spotty AF. Wait, did I just? I'm gonna. Oh no! If I mention the word, I'm not literally cursing.
Yes, that's fine. As forever, I don't know what. and I'm just noticing on the webcomic site that this is a series I saw on Tapas first, and I'm interested that they're also featuring it. But anyway, so the other thing to mention about webcomics is that they are associated with a different site called Web Novel, which features definitely a lot of the Chinese web novels, but also, let's see what it said. I have all my notes in there, but I don't have them here. Let me stop sharing. Whoever listens to us has to get used to our being all over the place.
Yes, we are all over the place. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I literally am sorry about that.
Yeah. So they have, the web novel has Chinese and Korean novels, and also some manhwa, Chinese manhwa. And they also have some amateur and fan-created novels from different sources.
Oh, okay.
And so in that sense, they're sort of like Tapas with a bit more of an amateur component allowed. I really like these. I enjoy reading things streaming, and so I find these much preferable to things like Comixology, which are where you really have to read the content more like it's an actual book, but just digital.
My preference is that. Hence, that's why I love Overdrive at this point. I love Overdrive, and what is the other one that's from Free Library right now? Overdrive and
Libby?
What else? Not Libby. What is the other one? I thought that there was another one.
Oh, Freeding?
No, it's a Freeding. Let me check. Oh gosh. No. I love Overdrive and Hoopla right now. Hoopla and Overdrive. I love Hoopla and Overdrive right now because, except for Hoopla. Hoopla, you're limited in borrowing by a month, but that's fine. But Overdrive, I'm so totally in love with because you could also have offline access with that. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I do like the idea of offline access. But what I do like about reading it on sites is also that you can track the updates when you add things to your favorites. In most of these cases, you can look somewhere and immediately see which ones have updated. So yeah, it's really all your personal style and what you like to do.
I definitely think so also because as you can see, the only thing I'm able to talk about is webtoons, and Sarah was able to take the majority of the series, of this episode's time, even though we go on tangents, like to the point of tangents.
Yes. The other thing to note here is that this is only the portion of webcomics that really involves a lot of manga or manhwa, etc. type content. I am sure there are other additional web comics publishing sites that primarily aggregate or pull together American comics, and aggregators that pull together all the independently published ones. I was poking around a bit to look into that and found some things listed, like I think there's one called Comics Rocket, and let's see if I can track that down. Comic Rocket. So yeah, so you see Ogalaf, which is a very not safe for work but funny comic. That's I think it's British written. SKCD, questionable content, some really big titles can be found through here.
I do have to do a time check. It's actually 12:01.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it is time for me to go turn into a pumpkin. By which I mean I need to do my call center shift. So thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, we're going to be talking about other, should I mention about what topic are we talking about next week? We're talking about scanlations and Patreon and crowdsourcing.
Go for it. Sounds great. Okay.
またね。
またね。
Okay.